Welcome back, Rankers. Having a lot of fun reading the M360 hashtag on Twitter this morning. M360 is a conference being run by Mumbrella.com.au in Sydney. Mumbrella is a major marketing website in Australia. Very well read, very well respected, and very well written. And Tim Burrows is behind all that. And it looks like a really good conference, but it made me laugh. Look, it's even so popular that now the auto spammers have gone in there. Whenever you see these sorts of tweets appear in a hashtag, it's because that hashtag has reached a point where it's so popular that the spam bots automatically go and tweet into the hashtag. There's a few of them there. But what made me laugh this morning was the first speaker, and he wasn't trying to be funny. And the first speaker was this man here, the CEO of the Australian and News Digital. The Australian is Australia's national newspaper, and a broadsheet's been going for, I don't know, a bazillion years or something. But what they announced today was they will be going to a paywall model, or what they're calling a freemium model, where some content is free and some content you'll have to pay for, and they'll be launching that in October, subscription only, so you'll have to pay for content on the website and on apps and those sorts of things as well. And some of the arguments that he was using to support that position, well, I found quite amusing. And one of them was that that mainstream media basically drives social media, that mainstream media is what all the blogs and the Twitterverse retweet and talk about, which of course is complete nonsense. And in fact, I would even go as far as to say is that the opposite is true, is that a lot of the news and the newspapers and also the current affair programs on television and those sorts of things, a lot of those are basically rehashing content that is on Twitter or on Facebook, or someone else has done something, or a footballer has done something on Twitter that they shouldn't have, or whatever. But a lot of the content on mainstream tends to be talking about what's on social media rather than the other way around. The other thing that he said I found was quite amusing was that he used the argument that in Australia we never used to have to pay for television. It wasn't up until 1995 that we even had a concept of pay TV. Up until then we had free television, you didn't have to pay for any TV. Most of it was ordinary. Pay TV, not that much better, I don't think. But in 1995, we got our first pay TV channels. And Richard's argument here is that the concept of paying for news content, whilst it might seem different, it's no different to what paying for television was back in 1995, when everyone thought it's not going to work. I can always get TV for free. Why do I need to pay for it? Same with news. I think that's a pretty flawed argument, because we only had 5 channels that pay TV was competing with in 1995. For the Australian and news content to go behind a paywall, they've got a lot more competition than what pay TV had in 1995. They've got the whole damn internet, right? Which is free. So I'm not saying the paywall won't work for News Limited. They're saying it's already working for the New York Times. But I'm saying it's going to be a very different thing to what we know of as a newspaper today. For instance, you're not going to get retweeted if you're behind a paywall. No one's going to send people to something that they have to pay for. You're not going to get linked to probably in blogs if it's behind a paywall. So it's going to be fairly exclusive content, and it's going to change the nature of that content. And I think the one thing that newspapers have, and to a certain extent the evening news in towns, is that they bring a community together, or they give context, if you like, to discussion the following day, or on the day, whether it be in the newspaper or on the evening news, or even on the radio to a certain extent. But newspapers traditionally have driven the conversation throughout the day on what the news should be through radio and television. With a premium content model, that's going to change. And I think that's the one thing that newspapers have, which I think they've neglected, that sense of community, or that sense of focus of what's happening in a community. And I think one of the biggest things that Rupert Murdoch's missed out on, and Fairfax for that matter, is all this local news content they have out there, but they don't seem to be doing a hell of a lot with it. And just quickly, a quick site review on, where are we, Dick Smith's. DickSmith.com.au asked for a site review. couple of weeks ago, and someone's trying to get into my office while I'm recording. I need a flashing red light on the front so they can't get in, which is why it may seem somewhat distracted. But Dick Smith down here has asked us, can we have a quick look at their site? So I'll just have a quick look at it for you today. A couple of things that you need to know straight away. First of all, there's about 70,000 pages in the index. I reckon that's twice as many as what you need. And I'm not saying it from a pure volume point of view, but my guess is that your site is duplicated in the index. And the reason I say that, if you do and everyone, make sure you do your site colon web address to find out what's in the index, what Google knows. Here you can see we've got a couple of different domain names happening, and these are classed as separate sites. A separate domain name is classed as a separate site to Google. Google's a little bit treats www a little bit differently, but wherever possible, you need to be, I would always 301 the wwws to the root domain. But what we're seeing with Dick Smith is that we've got 30,000 entries under search.dicksmith.com.au and 30,000 under dicksmith.com.au. And then if we have a look at the W's, we've got 8. So we're not 301ing the W's, and most of these 8's are errors. So I would 301 the W's, number one, get rid of them because they're not being used. But I think there is a real issue here between these two sites. And I say two sites because that's how Google is going to treat them. And for instance, if I take a bit of unique text off one of the pages and Google that, I get the first result isn't even one of those sites. It's reviews.dicksmith.com.au. So there's yet another site there, and this is an exact match. And that's the one Google thinks is most authoritative, which I'm guessing isn't the one that you want to rank for. And the reason I think you've got things doubled up here is because when I just go to that root subdomain of search.dicksmith.com.au, we're met with a banner that says Meet the New Dick Smith. Click here. We click here, and we go to a site that says, hey, this is the new Dick Smith. So presumably this isn't the site where you want people to go to at all. It's a big job, it's 30,000 URLs, but what I would be doing is a migration of all those old URLs to the new URLs, if that is in fact what's happening. And that is it for today's show. Thanks very much for watching. I'm heading off to Bali tomorrow on Melbourne's coldest day for about the last 12 years. Have fun!